If Tabby maxes out and the 4-year cycle repeats, no guarantee it will, is it advisable to support always holding on to some Bitcoin? And what kind of percentage do you think would be appropriate to always maintain? And should you sell it all and move on to a faster horse like Tesla, etc.? Very brilliant question. Glad you asked. And it's complicated. This is not easy, but I'm going to answer it using a process, using data. And let's first of all, let's talk about what just happened. Okay. This is insane. I've been waiting 6, 7, 8 years for this golden rule thing. And I hope people don't construe this as religion. I don't care what God you have or whatever, but God candle is a technical term in the Bitcoin world for a candle on one day that stretches $10,000. Today, historically, we saw it. Remember, this is my time zone. This is also using the Coinbase chart. I think it also showed up on Kraken as well. And the bottom today was $85,010. And it hit $95,000. We had a $10,000 candle. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because this will trigger global game theory FOMO, ladies and gentlemen. This is what the world is looking at and thinking, oh, wow, we thought it was dead. And now it's alive. Remember, price drives a lot of excitement and action out there in the space. So that's the first big piece of news. Second, sadly, this is happening. Not sadly, fortunately, but a couple of things. There's rumors out there. We don't know what's real, what's not. But one of them is Trump could soon announce a 0% capital gains tax on crypto trading and investing in the US. If this were to happen, oh my God, I'd actually stop making videos and I'd be trading 24/7 because taxes have a huge impact on how I invest. So that'd be exciting. Second of all, the strategic Bitcoin reserve is back on the table. Huge tweet storm, and somebody knew about it. Somebody made $200 million in less than 12 hours by making a big bet on Bitcoin and ETH, 50x long at the bottom, which actually is not bad. A lot of people perp at the bottom. It's a good time to perp. It was pretty clear we were desperately oversold on many assets. But now, this means that there have been discussions probably behind closed doors, and people made a big bet on that. But there's more. This one is the crypto market right now. And Asia is asleep, ladies and gentlemen. Asia's asleep. And when they wake up, they're going to see what's going on. And that will add more fuel to the fire. All the nation states around the world. I'm actually writing a paper, I'll put out in Substack, about the game theory trigger that just happened. What happens next is profound. It has a huge implication for global fiats around the world and Bitcoin and how to play the game. You've got to get in early. That's the whole beauty of game theory. When I first studied game theory at Wharton 25 years ago, it melted my brain. But now, against the backdrop of Bitcoin, it's as clear as day, and it's going to happen. So let's get back into the news and answer to your question. And this is a historic day, so I'm doing a very large preamble ahead of time. Hope that's okay. This is the sad news, too. I made a poll 2 hours ago. 3,000 people responded. It's probably a lot higher now because I scraped this an hour ago. This is after 1 hour. 3,000 people responded. 9.8% sold the bottom. They capitulated at the bottom. No matter what I said, no matter how many hands I held, they capitulated. They thought the bull market was over. And believe me, if you read the type of crap in crypto Twitter or whatever other places and listen to the morale of people, you'd be downtrodden and brokenhearted. But remember, it's not over. In fact, you could argue it hasn't even begun yet. So anyway, there's going to be, it's funny, when the market's full, there's a little bit of psychology here. People get very upset, really, really, really upset. But you know what makes them even more upset? Is when the market goes up after they've capitulated. It's like it couldn't be worse for the psyche. And remember, look at the data, study, do not be shaken out. All right? Anyway, moving on. The other thing that I will talk about too is the impact of taxes and selling, because this has a big implication for your question. Should you sell at all? So for example, my cost basis in Bitcoin is 12,000. I did most of my accumulation between 2017 and 2021. And then I stopped buying, and I buy other things after certain prices. That's just my nature. If I was to sell, imagine I'm a global citizen and I calculated the average capital gains taxes on the planet, depending on where you are. Some places it's 0, some places it's 50%. It's all over the place. Some places it looks at short-term capital gains. Some places see it as income. So if you're in California and you're paying federal tax and you're paying 14% state tax, and you have a short-term capital gain in crypto, you could be paying 54%. And that's just the reality. So it has a big implication. But I took the average of all the capital gains taxes across the planet. It's about 32.5%. If your cost basis of Bitcoin is 12,000 and you sell at 100 grand, you need the reversion. We'll talk about mean reversion today a lot. You need the price of Bitcoin to fall back down to 71,400 to recoup. And you need to be able to nail that bottom when it happens. Okay, and not be afraid, thinking it's going to go lower. And by the way, 70,000 is confluent with where I believe the floor of Bitcoin price could be, because that's typically where it is right before the US presidential election, which is also on a 4-year cycle. So this is a long-winded way of explaining to you, don't get too cute. You never, ever sell all your Bitcoin because of what could happen next. And by the way, I have this tax model. I'll post it on Patreon later today. The team is going to work on it now, clean it up. You'll be able to plug in your own asset, find out your cost basis, break even, and tax rate, and discover, what it takes for you to sell. But the point is, you do not sell all your Bitcoin ever. And we have a thing called the profit-taking model, which I'll show you in a little bit as well, as to what it means and how you can use it. And in fact, those people that use the profit-taking model on MicroStrategy made a killing. They basically sold all the way up to 550 and got out. Now the key is to get back in. And of course, account for your taxes. But I did share this late last night on Tesla versus Bitcoin. And I've been talking a lot about which is the faster horse, because that was your question. It depends on your allocations. That's why I share my portfolio every week, sometimes twice a week if there's a big change. And it's critical to have the proper allocations. You don't go all in on one asset, you diversify. But my level of diversification is very extreme. It's like 4 assets, 95% I am in 4 assets. That's it. And 2 of them are the same thing, believe it or not. But the point is here, which is the faster horse over the next 3 to 5 years? Well, Elon Musk tweeted yesterday, it will require solid execution, but he believes Tesla will give you 1,000% gain in the next 5 years. All right. Which is actually in line with my bear target for 2032, but he's talking the next 5 years, which goes out to 2029. So 3 years ahead of time. I sandbag everything a lot. The point is, what's the faster horse? We don't know. If a Bitcoin strategic reserve kicks off and Bitcoin shoots to $1 million, that's why you never sell your Bitcoin. You keep some. You take some off the table and you allocate accordingly. And that's how you play the game. So more on this later. Thank you for the question.